I'm a little bit scarred after what happened earlier when we were casting Rainer. I'm like always double checking, like, are we playing our main races? Okay, we're good. Everything is looking as it should. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our German Terran player, the blue Terran representing Mouse. It is HeRoMaRinE. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the Canadian Zerg player, the red Zerg representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Scarlett. We go. And Scarlett has been looking quite in form here in this matchup as well. We of course casted Scarlett in the most recent season of GSL, but a big part of that was, of course, for those who are unaware, Maru faced off against Scarlett. Scarlett was able to beat Maru, but a big reason for that was because Maru was all in. Like, if you remember that series and that night of StarCraft, Maru was just giga all in, going for a constant 8 racks play, 2 base all in on side Delta, if you remember. Like, Maru was playing insane. it was crazy what he was whipping out. And Scarlett was able to show off her defensive play and her defensive prowess in that series. But we'll see how HeRoMaRinE approaches this, and we'll see what he brings to the table. So for now, Hatchgas full standard opener out of Scarlett. Likewise, we should be seeing a Rax expand out of HeRoMaRinE as well. Now, we have seen HeRoMaRinE go for 2 Rax openers and 2 Rax Reaper. This is something that some of the Europeans have adopted, and they mix in players like Clem, Spirit, and HeRoMaRinE. They do mix in the Beyond opener from time to time, but they don't rely on it. So I'll keep my eye out for that, so we could see it at some point in this series. For now in Game 1 though, standard opener. Standard opener out of HeRoMaRinE. SCV going to be moving out. And again, we'll just confirm the timing of the hatchery. It will move over to a third base location. Reaper is on the way. It's going to be on HeRoMaRinE to try and delay the third if possible. And it's going to be on Scarlett to get it up and running. Yes, this is a really strong start for HeRoMaRinE. So specifically on Oceanborn, it is very difficult to hold on to this southern base. So we will force that Gas Geyser. Scarlett can be forced elsewhere instead. HeRoMaRinE forcing a big delay here on the third. The drone comes out, but the SCV is still in position. Boys are being pulled. Lost mining time here. The Reaper does double back, and we do get on top of this drone once again. Oh, this is a really rough start for Scarlett. Lings, they move out across the map. It looks like Scarlett wants to get some counter damage done. There is a Marine in position, but we do get on top of the CC. Ooh, and we do just barely delay the CC. Good move here out of Scarlett. That will help in the overall delayed third, but this is still such a late third base. Finally, it gets thrown down. Oh my, the juggling. As HeRoMaRinE saves his second worker. Overall, I would say a better start for HeRoMaRinE. Yes, his CC was delayed by a couple of seconds, but only by a couple of seconds. Meanwhile, this third base from Scarlett, heavily delayed. And as I mentioned, a big reason for this is because specifically on this map, there's only one third. Like, you cannot take, or it's so difficult to establish this southern third base that it's typically not really viable, just because you will be punished. You will be punished hard if you try to expand here. So HeRoMaRinE able to focus his attention. And delay. Behind this third CC before starport, very economic follow-up from our Terran player. Should be into Banshee players. We have the Tech Lab, and we are poised for an add-on swap. And there it is, we have our add-on swap on the way for Banshee play. Meanwhile, back at home, Scarlett is droning. Scarlett is behind, just because of the late third. We have seen a lot of Zerg players double expand at this point to catch up. But for now, Scarlett is just taking her third base and trying to catch back up. She's just heavily droning. Queens are in production. Hellions are rotating around, but the Queens are able to keep up. Able to force this back. We're going to be racing into +1 Carapace. Interesting. This is typically a response to 2-on-1, which is not what HeRoMaRiNE's going for. Hellions have been revealed. So an interesting choice here from Scarlett. Now, we have been seeing a lot of Scarlet ZvT recently, and we have seen a lot of mass Hydra out of Scarlet, which has been very interesting to see. with mixed success, very mixed success with Mass Hydra. Curious if she embraces that here. For now, though, just amassing queens and lings. HeRoMaRinE vying for map control and making sure that there is no fourth. Speaking of, fourth is now in production. Ooh, behind this, we are getting into mech. We have the second and third factory on the way. Cloak Banshees, of course, was our opener, but mech is going to be our follow-up. Again, we have seen even some of the Korean Terrans dabble in the new Cyclone and dabble in mech as well. Players like Ryung, players like Gumiho, TY. One queen does get picked off. Nice catch there from HeRoMaRinE. Oh, and we are investing into Hyperflight Rotors. Yeah, this is a more modern variation of mech, especially with the new Banshee at the start of 2023. Incorporating additional Banshees here with your mech army can be very, very potent. As we are going for Speed Banshees and Hyperflight Rotors on those Cyclones. Here we go. Aliens once again shutting down that second queen. Two queens go down. And we do threaten the mineral line as well. How many lings do we have? Okay, we do have plenty to deal with this. Another queen gets picked off. Detection was not in position. And as we lose queens, that means that these Hellions become more and more deadly. Queens are the only thing keeping Scarlett, her mineral line alive. Zoning away a lot of those Hellions. We have +1 range on the way. We do not have a Roach Warren, which is, I think, a bit of an oversight from Scarlett, despite having the range upgrades. We are committed to Ling Bane Queen. That Roach is going to be a tough defense. We're going Ling Hydra, okay. Interesting. So Ling Hydra Viper used to be the way to deal with battle mech, but that was last patch. That was the last season. Here, against a more modern variation, I'm worried about it, how fragile Ling Hydra is. So here we go. Once again, we're being very active here out on the map. Third base is up and running. Fourth CC is on the way. Economically, Scarlett is barely treading water. A lot of this is because of how late the third and how late the fourth was. Because of the openers. HeRoMaRiNE's economy looking strong. Getting to 5 factories. Again, double armory, 1-1 on the way. Blue Flame, Mass Cyclone. I mean, again, as I mentioned before, like, the reason why Ling Bane Hydra was working before against Banshee Cyclone is because Lings were such a good response to Cyclones. They still are, but not as much as previously, just because of the attack rate of these new Cyclones. Infestation Mid is on the way. That will help. That will help when it comes to getting into Vipers and Infestors. You know what the hell is? They do threaten the fourth base. It's still not on the way. HeRoMaRiNE applying so much pressure here. Baileys, they will connect. They connect with those Hellions, but the Cyclones, they get in. They do get some big lock-ons. And it looks like HeRoMaRiNE is going to be shut down, but he traded very well against the Hydras. Expensive losses there for Scarlett. That was 6 Cyclones for 7 Hydras. Better trade for HeRoMaRiNE. He does deny the fifth. Fifth is cancelled. The Banshees are wreaking havoc, getting another Hydra. Denying so much gas mining as well. Again, gas is so important when you're going for this very gas-intensive composition from Scarlett. We catch the queens. The queens are getting caught out as well. We get one. One queen does fall. Doubling down here, still amassing Cyclones. We're mixing in a couple of tanks now. Mass Cyclone is strong, don't get me wrong, but ideally you do want to transition into tanks as the game goes further. So we are sprinkling in a couple of tanks. Still for the most part though. Mass Cyclone. Banshees are still reinforcing. How many Banshees do we have? Oh, 6 Banshees here for HeRoMaRiNE. Ay, ay, ay. Pushing through the center. Some of these Cyclones get caught out. Nice catch here from Scarlett. Bit of miscontrol there from HeRoMaRiNE. Does throw away a handful of those Cyclones. See the tanks. We see the tanks behind this. Oof. Maintaining this position. How many queens do we have? 4. That's concerning. We do need to remake some of these queens. We only have 4 queens, basically just to inject. A very limited crease spread. Scarlett is known for her crease spread, but without queens, we just cannot get it up and running. And without creep, like, Scarlett has to react to whenever the army does appear here, knocking down bases. Cannot react ahead of time. There we go. We do catch these Cyclones. Big pickoff. Cyclones get caught. Banshees pushing in. Vipers are finally on the way now that we have the Hive. And again, Vipers, they help so much against not just Banshees, but also Cyclones. Ideally, you want to be abducting Cyclones and parasitic bombing these Banshees. Oh, we can abduct them as well. We can both work. As there are only 3 Banshees left. And Scarlett is about to max out. Now, her army is looking solid, but we need the creep. We need to get that creep spread back up and running. There we go. The creep is on the way. And again, HeRoMaRinE, he is transitioning into a more tank-heavy composition, which is very important against Ling Hydra. Cyclones are pushing at the same time. Scarlett does hit the 3rd base. We do see HeRoMaRinE out of position. No Hellions, by the way. We can collapse on this army. Yeah, we do take down the tanks. HeRoMaRinE racing back home. 17 SCVs go down. Bailey's going to be zoning away the main army. Lings, they bust into the mineral line. These Hydras have to get the hell out of here. There we go. The Hydras will back up. Oh, that's going to be a cancel on that 5th base. But 36 SCVs go down. Massive run by, massive counterattack. And the Hydras, they do rotate over towards this base on the left-hand side. It's going to be a cancel on that CC. Some okay trades here from HeRoMaRinE, trading with the Hydras. Oh. You can't bleed out too much. And against Scarlett, joining up to past 80. The drone count is still a little bit lacking, so Scarlett can't remax immediately. And again, because of lack of queens, we are lacking injects. Yeah, the injects have been lacking here. Finally, we're getting into them. Scarlett soon to remax. Now, how many Vipers do we have? 2 Vipers. 2 Vipers out for Scarlett. We're pushing in. Nice blind clap here on one of those tanks on the 2nd tank as well. Both tanks will go down. We will bleed out those Vipers though. And HeRoMaRinE does kite very well here against the Lings. The Hydras are exposed, by the way. This is not a fight to take. The Hydras, they go toe-to-toe with the Cyclones. We're going to be bleeding out so much here. Trading blow for blow. The Hydras will break through. That was an expensive loss. Oh boy. That was 18 Hydras for 24 Cyclones. See Scarlett transitioning out of this, getting into a Greater Spire, getting into Broodlords, potentially. Vipers have been rebuilt. Lings are amassing. Scarlett does not have the biggest bank here. So rebuilding those Hydras is a very tough ask. Meanwhile, HeRoMaRinE did lose a lot of SCVs, that is true, but look at the worker count now. I almost can't believe it. HeRoMaRinE, he lost 39 SCVs in that attack, and now he's up to 97 workers, plus mules. His economy is booming, and he's remaxing so quickly. It's actually insane. It's actually insane here. Banshee going to be going down. I believe the Banshee count was reset. Vipers getting some abductions. Nice yoinks. Vipers do pull back. Good trade here from Scarlett. At the same time, the Link counterattack is being set up as well. Trying to collapse on those Cyclones. Now, I do like the Broodlord transitioning from Scarlett against specifically Cyclone Tank. I do think it can work well if we can, of course, invest into them. There we go. We have +1 air attack on the way. Corruptors are amassing. Once we get into Broodlords, though, they will need some support. Looks like we have found ourselves an orbital. Looks like it will go down, but can the Hydras escape, though? Orbital does float away. Does manage to float away. Good kiting here from HeRoMaRinE, pulling back to those tanks. Yeah, tank volley's going to be going off, and this is not a trade that Scarlett can take. Not without those Vipers. Reinforcements are on the way. But once again, this was a good trade for HeRoMaRinE. He shaves off so many Hydras. Finally, the Vipers do arrive. HeRoMaRinE, he saves the base. He trades well. He lost 3 Cyclones. 3 Cyclones for 13 Hydras. Ay, ay, ay. That's how good the kiting was. Much better trade now that we have those Vipers. Good abductions. Nice catch here on the tank as well. Scarlett now has a sold economy up to 88 workers. Once again, has to be careful to bleed out too much. As she's bleeding out Hydras, we are replacing them with Corruptors and Broodlords. They are on the way. Hatchery going to be cancelled. Technically cancelled, not killed at the same time. Hellion run by, but we have a wall of Spine Crawlers. We are ready. Hellions do not get in. Broodlords have arrived. How many Broodlords do we have? 3 Broodlords so far. We're still lacking here in the amount of Broodlords that we have. Oh, the scan does reveal. Big scout. A big scan from HeRoMaRinE. Immediately he starts up a wave of Thors. Thors are on the way. Being lock-ons here on some of these Vipers. Broodlords doing what they can. Good abductions. Abductions overall. Yeah, the Broodlord's going to be able to force us back, but there's only 3 of them. Only 3 Broodlords, and we're just doubling down on anti-air. Thors, Vikings on the way. This is where pure Broodlord isn't good enough. We do need Infestors to support. Fungals, Neuroparasite. Oh, we do catch some of the tanks. Good pickups. Tanks will be going down. Expensive losses here for HeRoMaRinE. At the same time, he's pushing towards these northern bases. He catches out these Hydras. Yeah, good way to counteract the Broodlords. Again, the Broodlords are so immobile. The Broodlords are trying to keep up. And the Cyclones, they have their way with the rest of the army. Catching Corruptors, catching Hydras. The Broodlords, we're getting there, though. We are catching up. And HeRoMaRinE has to get the hell out of here. Thors have arrived. And HeRoMaRinE, he did a great job at forcing Scarlett's main army to turn back around. The Broodlords had to race back home, which means HeRoMaRinE, he gets these southern bases up and running. Still on a very good economy, 92 workers. He has a bank, Scarlett doesn't. Not as large as HeRoMaRinE's. And again, we have just been replacing tanks and Cyclones with Thors. The 5 Thors, soon to be 7. He bought a lot of time. Vikings have arrived. Oh, where are the Corruptors, by the way? It looks like all the Corruptors were morphed into Broodlords. It's a little bit scary. We do need some anti-air. We have some Hydras, but they're not ideal. And the Vikings, they just bully back at those Broods. At the same time, a bit of a tank run by. Looks like we may even get the base. Tanks, they will be eventually shut down. At this point, we don't really want tanks anymore just because we're so Broodlord heavy. How many Broodlords? We have 15 Broodlords. Very little on the ground. Very little on the ground here for Scarlett. Only a handful of Hydras and a handful of Lings. My Thor Viking is what we want. Tank going to be going down. We do get our Hellions into the mineral line. Drones are falling. Scarlett taking a massive blow to our economy. Good power bomb here on the Vikings, but what about the ground army? Nice blinding clouds. We're going 1, we're going 2 Thors. But we lost 16 workers across the map, and the base as well. We lost 2 bases. 2 hatcheries go down. HeRoMaRinE maintaining his economic lead. Does fall back though, just to regroup, just to remax his army. Again, good trades with these Cyclones. We catch a couple of Corruptors that did stray too far forward. God, that's gonna be 24 drones. Oh my god, these it looked like workers were actually made and hatched from these eggs, and the Hellbats just went to town. No, don't come back! More drones. More workers are falling. Rallying into the Hellbats. 26 workers in total. Coming in. We do have those infestors that we spoke about. Do we have Neural? We do. Neural is researched. We have 14 Broods and 6 infestors in total. This is where HeRoMaRinE needs Ghosts. Like, Ghost Thor is kind of the late game that you want here. Even if you start off with Mech, Ghosts are so valuable to you. We got 31 The kill count getting higher and higher. This base is going to fall. We get a couple of SCVs though for our troubles. Not bad. It looks like we're throwing them away though. Yeah. Throwing away some workers, freeing up supply. I mean, HeRoMaRinE, he had over 90 workers. Yeah, so get rid of them. And now HeRoMaRinE, he can go for a super maxed army. Fusion core is on the way, another starport. It's going to be Lib Thor Ghost. Oh yeah, I mean, that's what we want to go for, Lib Thor Ghost. For now, still just Lib Thor. No Ghost yet. We see HeRoMaRinE rotating around towards the left-hand side. He wants to catch these Hydras. And he will. He will catch the Hydras. They're going to be going down. Scarlett out of position again. Broodlords are so immobile. They rotate around. Alright guys, HeRoMaRinE does back off. Scan reveals the army location of Scarlett, and we can either commit or we can head for another direction here. Doors are amassing, we're killing more SCVs. Again, at this point, workers don't matter anymore for HeRoMaRinE. Not because he's mined everything out. Like, there's still mineral patches to work with, but because mules. Like, mules are ideal. He has plenty of orbitals to work with. Broodlords, they do take down a planetary at the same time on the Hellion run by. We do get stopped. Do get denied. God, we're up to 20 Broodlords. Oh my god. It's a lot of brutes. Now, in a head-to-head fight, I do favor HeRoMaRinE, not gonna lie. The upgrades from Scarlett have been lacking. She's got +2 air attack and +1 air carapace. So we need 3-3. 3-3 should be a priority here, and it looks like we have forgot. There we go. There we go. +3 attack on the way. We need those upgrades. We did forget about them for a while. Scarlett gonna be pushing them forward. Meanwhile, HeRoMaRinE, he's on 3-3 himself. Scarlett needs a good angle of attack. Likewise, we need these Liberators to zone away those Infestors. There we go. Freedom has arrived. Bungle's going to be thrown down a power bomb as well. But we are just bullying back the army. And we can just go straight for the bases. Uh-oh. Scarlett zoned away from her mining bases at this point. Now, HeRoMaRinE has to be careful. He is aware of the location of the army. There we go. Libs are sieging. Bungles once again. Big tank shots. Yeah, Infestors do go down. I think that was 2 Infestors falling. Yeah, we have 4 Infestors left. And the Thor army pushing on forward. Good target firing overall. We get some Neurals. But the Infestors, they get focused now. The Neural does run out. And the Thors, they do focus on as many of these Broodlords as they can. And they will shut them down. Every single Broodlord is falling. We do have another wave. Another wave of Broodlords, but the Thors, they stand strong. And without any support, Thors, they do win this. Broodlords are forced back. We have Thors counterattacking. They shut down the base on the right-hand side. We have Cyclones coming in. We almost have a full surround. We're collapsing on the Broods. Again, on their own. They're so fragile. We have a couple of Hydras coming in. Looks like 2 Thors are going to get picked up. Hydras are just rallying into their deaths, though, as the Thors chase this down. Yeah, GG gets called. There's nothing left. We've run out of bases, and we're running out of money. HeRoMaRinE takes game number 1. GG. Yeah, a massive fight there from HeRoMaRinE, just in a way outpositioning Scarlett, forcing her in a really awkward position where she had to push into the army to save her bases. And overall, HeRoMaRinE, he just had the better economy, was trading more efficiently throughout most of that game. Eventually, Scarlett did get into, like, the ideal, right? Like, Broodlord Infestor, but we were lacking upgrades. And those upgrades are pretty huge. Without them, we can't really fight these Thors head-to-head. Like, they're so tanky and they do so much damage. And likewise, they did need some support on the ground, support that we were lacking. So HeRoMaRinE just got a really good angle of attack, really good fight, and did snowball out of control. And not just that, was doing a good job himself when it comes to harassing and like shutting down bases, killing workers, stifling the economy. It was all over Scarlett. HeRoMaRinE does take the first game. Meanwhile, behind this, a big shadow as well did happen in the middle of that game, and I didn't want to take attention away from the game. But a big shout out to Thriving GG. Thank you so much. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. Ending the stream a little bit earlier than normal, so hope you had a good time nonetheless, and hope you enjoy the upcoming weekend. Take care, Poppy. Take care. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Big shout out to Thriving GG. Also, thanks for dropping by, Chaldon. Thanks for dropping by. Do appreciate it. And for those that are tuning in, we are here. We're covering Group D of HomeStory Cup 24, and we just wrapped up with Game 1, and we have a couple more games ahead of us here. Well, this is our final series. Our final series of the night. You came in just for the end. For the climax spot. Let's go. But again, HeRoMaRinE doing quite well with his mech. Now, again, a big reason for this, winding it back, HeRoMaRinE had a lot of momentum early on. Remember how hard it was for Scarlett to take a third? Like, the third was late, the fourth was late. Like, Scarlett had a really hard time in the early game, and HeRoMaRinE had so much freedom, had so much momentum early on, and that is eventually what led into HeRoMaRinE having such a booming economy, and did allow for a stronger late game. But here we go, we're getting into game number 2. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alkione, we have the Canadian Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Scarlett. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have her opponent. We have the German Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing Mouse. It is HeRoMaRinE. Go. Again, HeRoMaRinE had a really strong early game that kind of did head into a stronger mid game and even late game as well. Did permeate, that's what I was looking for. Did permeate throughout the course of that game and did have quite an advantage here. Scarlett was on the back foot trying to recover for quite a lot of that. Did struggle to do so. But we'll see if we can fight back, if we can force an ace match. Personally, that's what I want. I want a game 3 between these two. I want us to go the distance. This is an interesting one, though. We're loading into Alkione. This is considered to be one of the more macro-oriented maps in the map pool. A lot easier here to get your natural, get your third base, get your fourth base up and running. It's a very defendable map. It would be a good map for something like mech. Now, not necessarily the aggressive, battle mech, Mass Cyclone style, but mech in general could be favored here on a map like this. Just to get into a solid 4-base setup here and get into a 5th and get into a long game, a macro game. And we'll see how HeRoMaRinE approaches this, and we'll see how Scarlett stops this, if she can. Bearing in mind that there's also the goal base. The goal base can come into play, typically taken as a 4th base or a 5th base to help give a boost to whoever does decide to take it. Scarlett is going for the triangular third. Reaper is on the way, and this time Scarlett should be able to expand on location without too much issue. There we go. Hatchery is on the way. There was no SCV scout this game from HeRoMaRinE. A big reason for this is because of the longer rush distance by ground. It takes longer for the SCV to get across the map. It's typically not worth it. Because you do take off one of those drones, so one of those lings. Right? Do shave off a ling. Behind this, 3rd CC. It is going to be a 3rd CC before Starport. Very economic opener here out of HeRoMaRinE. Very economic. Getting into his Marine here. Getting into his add-on swap. Oh, interesting. Okay, you have my attention. Game 1 was mech. Game 2 is going to be 3CC 211. You don't see this build too often. The reason for this is because you don't have a lot of Hellions. We're going to be making typically 4 Hellions in total, which is okay, but it's not really enough to threaten your opponent, and Scarlett should be able to spread creep and be pretty comfortable in the early game. As I say that, Reaper does slip in and does not get a drone. But yeah, the downside of this is that you make a couple of Hellions, but not too many, so you have a small presence on the map. Really, your opponent is free to drone and free to do whatever they want until we hit into our stim time. Like, the stim timing is going to be a big power spike for HeRoMaRinE, but it takes a while. We're going to be waiting for stim, we're going to be waiting for the medevac and our 2 medevacs. Sorry, we're waiting for the starport and our 2 medevacs. There we go. Starport's on the way. Should be going for a reactor and an add-on swap. Now, as opposed to the standard 2-1-1, 2-1-1 hits a lot earlier. 3cc 2-1-1 because of the more economic build. This hits later, which is why the Zerg player has a lot of freedom to drone. And I assume that we would be going up to 4 Hellions. We even cut Hellion production at 2. So we have a very small presence on the map here for HeRoMaRinE. Scarlett is pretty free to drone to our heart's content and to spread creep. And for the time being, we're droning quite hard. Now, of course, we have to know when to stop. We have to be aware of when that eventual medevac timing is coming, which will be at around the 5:30-ish mark. Till then, Scarlett is free to expand, take a 4th base, work towards double Evo chamber if need be. 2 medevacs are in production. We are still amassing those Marines. Scarlett, interesting, going lair first. So a bit of a safer follow-up here, going for a lair and a Bailey nest. We're not rushing into fast upgrades. We're going into faster bailing speed. So a very safe way to follow up here from Scarlett. Not being as greedy as we otherwise could be. Respecting her opponents quite a bit. As there we go. As the 3rd is being taken, now we're going to be pushing out here with the double drone. As we mentioned, it is going to get across the map around the 5:30 mark. With a longer map, could take a little bit longer to get across the map as well. And finally, HeRoMaRinE can be assertive here on Alcyone. Up until this point, Scarlett has been free to spread creep and drone. But now we need an army. And Scarlett made an extra wave of drones. Doesn't have many links, by the way. This could cancel the 4th. Scarlett being distracted by the Reaper does get dragged out of position, and we do get on top of the hatchery. Big pickoff. We get 2 Overlords, and we should force a cancel. And Scarlett being a little bit too greedy was dragged out of position by that 1 Reaper. And HeRoMaRinE having this build more than pay for itself. That should not have happened. Here we go. Now sim is done. We dive into the main. Lings are in position, but the queens are nuts, and Lings on their own, they have a hard time trading, especially with this positioning here behind the mineral line. Yeah, the Lings, they cannot engage. We shut down 7 drones. This is becoming too much. Drop is forced back. The medevac. Ooh, big pickoff. We do get a full medevac. That is better. Suddenly things aren't so dire for Scarlett, but this is still a rough start. Like, 1 medevac is nice, full of Marines, but we still lost 7 drones, a lot of mining time. We lost the hatchery, delayed 4th base, which delays the production, delays the economy. Scarlett even supply blocked after losing those overlords. 3 overlords are on the way. Scarlett is struggling here in the early game. And behind this, HeRoMaRinE getting into his 3rd, getting into his 4th. 4th CC is on the way. Getting up to 5 Raxes. Soon to be 2-2. HeRoMaRinE, he's in control. After the opener, is very much so in control of this game. Scarlett isn't out of this, but she has some recovering to do. We need to trade well when it comes to shutting down these drops or going for a Lingbane run-by. The problem is, specifically on this map, it's so difficult to pull off run-bys here at the 3rd or the 4th base, so harassing isn't necessarily on the table. It's just going to be about the engagements. We have to spread as much creep as we can, make sure that we can have the best fight possible when HeRoMaRinE eventually pushes out. Speaking of HeRoMaRinE, just making sure he's set up for that, clearing up as much creep as he can, shutting down some of these active tumors. Now, Scarlett is rushing into Hydras and investing quite hard. That is +1 range on the way. I spoke about this in Game 1, if you remember. At the start of Game 1, I was talking about how Scarlett has been very fond of mass Hydra with mixed success. I emphasize the mixed part. Personally, I'm not entirely fond of it, so we're going to be foregoing melee upgrades in favor of range, and we are going to be investing quite a lot into Hydras. And it can work well, but it's very risky. It's a very risky style just because it's so expensive. Like, Hydras are very much so a glass cannon, and on their own, they don't trade amazingly, but we'll see. Liberators, they rock up in the main base. Drones are going down. The main push coming right through the center. How many tanks? 5 tanks in total. 5 tanks here from HeRoMaRinE. Does scan ahead of time. Does spot the army. There's a lot of creep to work through. Scarlett pulling back. Yeah, HeRoMaRinE, he has a comparable, if not better, economy than Scarlett at the moment. Has mules alongside his SCVs. 2 twos on the way. He will back off, which I think is a wise choice. Like, there's a lot of creep working against him here. Does have some of the queens. No, the queens, they get caught out, and every single queen's going to be going down. A massive pickoff here. One queen barely does not escape. We spoke about the creep earlier, and now we're going to have a hard time spreading it here. We are down to 3 queens. 3 queens remaining. HeRoMaRinE going for a double drop on the right-hand side. Scarlett amassing a decent amount of Ling Bane behind this. She can collapse on this army. But she's being pulled apart. 3 workers go down, and we can snipe the hatchery again. At the same time, she's collapsing on top of the tanks. Tanks are going to be going down. They're so exposed. We can go for it. Send it. The drop's going to be distracting Scarlett. There we go. We do collapse on this. Every single tank's going to be going down. Big pick off here, but at the same time, we have drops in every other base. Drops in the main, drops at the third. 17 drones go down. And we're being pulled apart at this point. HeRoMaRinE having its way with the economy. Behind this, we're on 81 workers. We got 2 more CCs on the way. And the bases, they're in trouble. Scarlett does heavily re-drone, and we are going back up to a decent worker count, but we're heavily oversaturated. We don't have another base to make use of. We need to buy some time. We need some breathing room. But HeRoMaRinE is pushing again. Here comes the second wave. HeRoMaRinE, he knows he has momentum. He knows that right now Scarlett is struggling to recover. And we have to take advantage of that. Medevac goes down. The Hydras. The Balins, they get caught out. So they will not finish. They will be shut down. And we do come across one of the final mining bases here of Scarlett. The hatchery is going to fall. The drones are so exposed. There are so many of them here. We try to come in for a surround. We have a little bit of Ling Bane left over. But the tank shots are insane. We break through the base. We break through the army. There's just not enough remaining here for Scarlett. GG gets called, and HeRoMaRinE takes the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Again, HeRoMaRinE popping off with his opener once again. Remember, it was a 3cc 2-on-1, and with his initial 2-on-1, he got so much damage done. It was the one... Honestly, the MVP of that game was the Reaper. Remember, the Reaper dipped into the natural and pulled apart the attention of Scarlett. She brought everything over to defend against the Reaper, the Lings and the Queens, and that exposed the 4th base. That was a kill in the 4th, a drop into the main, 7 workers going down. From that opener, from the build of choice of HeRoMaRinE, he got so much damage done, and from there, he never let go of that momentum. Just kept it going, kept the pressure up, and Scarlett had a really hard time keeping up there in the end. Was almost recovering when it came to like the creep that was being spread and her overall maxed out army, or she was working on a maxed out Ling Bane Hydra, but yeah, it was just a little bit too much to overcome, and just really patient play out of HeRoMaRinE. Remember his first push with his tanks, he didn't overextend. He cleared up some creep, backed off, caught the queens, cleared up more creep. It was a very slow, methodical push before he really did commit, and he committed with his split push when he dropped on the right hand side, killed another base, and chaos ensued. Chaos did ensue. GG, well played, well done here by HeRoMaRinE. My condolences to Scarlett, but HeRoMaRinE did play well here, did take it 2-0. GG, well played. Again, flexing 2 different styles, flexing mech in game 1, and of course bio in game number 2, bio tank in game 2. GG. And with that, we have our matches wrapping up for the night. We have our matches wrapping up here. Again, we're only covering half of the group, half of group D here tonight, just because there are so many games were being played here, and we just did finish up our 5th series here. Again, I highly recommend checking out the VODs. A lot of these games were a lot of fun. Some really good matches here played out. Raynor, initially I thought it was going to be a ZvZ, but Raynor did play Protoss against Mixu. It was a pretty back and forth series, and Mixu had his moments. Did have his moments against Raynor, did fall in the end, but GG's nonetheless. We had Raynor versus Trigger playing his main race. We had Scarlett earlier against Mixu going all the way to the ace match. Shout out to Mixu once again for forcing that ace match out of Scarlett. Really well done. And then we had HeRoMaRinE having more dominant performance here towards the end. I was a little bit disappointed with the TVP. I was hoping for a more macro game between Trigger and HeRoMaRinE, but Trigger was hyper aggressive in that series. If you missed out on it, Trigger went 4-gate blink in game 1 and went for a DT opener in game number 2. And his aggression got shut down. His aggression got completely shut down, and he did fall behind after some really rough openers as a result. And HeRoMaRinE just took control of those games. Again, I was hoping to sink our teeth into that, and we weren't able to. And here in HeRoMaRinE versus Scarlett, again, the openers is really where HeRoMaRinE thrived. Both in game 1 and game 2, HeRoMaRinE got a really big lead early on and never let go of it. So strong early game here from HeRoMaRinE. And of course that kind of led into the late game that we experienced as well. It wasn't just the early game, but it did set him up for a solid mid game, and to eventually get into the late game that we saw against Scarlett. Regardless, GG, well played. We are done here for the night, and we still have another broadcast next week. Next week we will be finishing Group D. As we do quickly switch on over, we have the second half here. Bam! Trigger versus Mixu, Raynor versus Scarlett, HeRoMaRinE versus Raynor, Mixer versus Hydra, and Trigger versus Scarlett to end Group D. So the second half will be next week. We usually go over these replays whenever we're not casting live. So we're always live here on the channel every single day here on the CranKy Ducklings with plenty of StarCraft. And we had a couple of days free, so we caught up with some replay casts. Tomorrow, we don't have time for replays because tomorrow is the beginning of Masters Coliseum. Masters Coliseum is going to be beginning here tomorrow night. Masters Coliseum 7. For those who are unfamiliar with the tournament, basically the best players from WTL are going to be facing off. Players like Cyril, Raynor, Maru, Bjorn, Scarlett's going to be there, Lambo. I'm not too sure if Lambo qualified, but a lot of players, Solar, Young, all the players from WTL, and some qualified players as well. Raynor, he did qualify. He did just barely qualify, barely made the cut. But they're all going to be involved. They're all going to be duking it out in Masters Coliseum. And again, it is organized by the people behind World Team League. And again, based on players' performances in World Team League, they got invited into the main event. And then they had some qualifiers. We did cast the qualifiers like 2-3 weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago at this point. The last week of December. Last week of December, we did cast the qualifiers. And yeah, the main event starts tomorrow. And it's going to last 2 weeks. It's going to last, I think, 15 days specifically. So it's going to be a long stretch of StarCraft, a long stretch of Masters Coliseum. It's basically a round-robin group stage into a playoff bracket, which means a lot of games. A lot of games will be played. A lot of matches will be had. Is the group seeded? Hold on. Masters Coliseum. We can actually have a look together. Because I haven't looked at the groups yet. Oh my god. Did I say groups? I should have said group. A lot of StarCraft going on. Catching up with the chat. Stellar commentary is always Mr. CranKy. Gracias. Gracias, man. Did HeRoMaRinE mech in game 1 too? He mech'd in game 1, he buyed in game 2. But yes, he did mech in game 1. But let's have a look at the upcoming bracket here. Bam. Here we go. So, I was a little bit caught off guard. Master Coliseum 6 did have a group stage. This technically has a group stage. Master Coliseum 7, but it's one big group. One big group. Let's go. We have Dark, Oliveira, Solar, Classic, Cyril, Raynor, Cure, Trigger, Bjorn, Shin, Hero, Bunny, Max, Fax, Firefly, Clem, and Maru. Oh boy, it is going to be a Swiss group, a massive group here full of all these high quality players. They're all going to be duking it out in the Swiss format. And you can see here in 22 hours time, these are best of, are they best of 3s or best of 5s? Best of 3. Okay, thank God. All matches are best of 3s in the group stage. So there we go. So this is what we're going to be casting live tomorrow. It's going to be Dark versus Oliveira, Solar versus Classic, Cell versus Rainer, and Cure versus Trigger. So some very high quality matches. And then the day after will be these matches, then the day after, then the day after, then the day after. Again, I mentioned 15 days. 15 days of StarCraft to go through all of the group, and then to go through all of the playoffs. Every single game is casted. Every single match is cast. We're not skipping anything. There's no like B stream. There aren't multiple matches happening at once. Nope. One after the other. We will cast everything. And eventually leads into this playoff group as well, where we lose half the players. The other half does get seeded in, and we have to play through all the upper bracket, the lower bracket. A lot of StarCraft. A lot of StarCraft starting from tomorrow. So that is what we're going to be featuring here on the channel. Not just Master Coliseum, but there's also KSL, there's also the ESL Open Cups, Kung Fu Cup when, that's on hiatus, but Christmas Cup, that's it, that's what I was thinking of. Christmas Cup is over the weekend. A lot of StarCraft. A lot of matches to be had, as always here on the CranKy Ducklings. So stay tuned. Mark your calendars and stick around, you know, hit that follow button if you're interested, if you enjoyed the casting, and if you want some more of this lovely StarCraft action. And follow us here on Twitch, on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can join our Discord server. Plenty of places to follow us. The place to be. Exclamation mark socials in the chat. So yeah, with that, thank you so much. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for your support as well. Bit of a shorter broadcast today, just 3.5 hours, and we'll be back tomorrow with day 1 of Masters Coliseum 7. That's a lot of matches. So tune in, Bobby. Tune in. It's gonna be a great time. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be beautiful. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Till then, hasta luego. Bye. Hasta luego.